What's up, everybody? This is Steve Sterlacci, and today we are taking a look at the Fractal FM9, the ultimate floorboard modeler. So I was lucky enough to get on the waiting list for the FM9 within the first 20 minutes of when they announced it, and I got it a couple of weeks ago. And since then, I've been having a ton of fun learning the ecosystem and learning how to use this thing. It is my first Fractal product, so I have no previous knowledge or experience with any of the Axe effects or anything. So I came totally into this thing cold. And I have to say, in a lot of ways, it lives up to all the hype that surrounds it. So is the FM9 the ultimate floorboard? Let's start off first by talking about the amp modeling, because we all know that's what Fractal is known for. The amp modeling is seriously incredible. The amount of parameters that you have is insane. And don't let that be a deterrent, because at first I was super overwhelmed with all of the options and was very much a victim of option paralysis. But after spending some time with the models, you realize you really don't need the advanced parameters unless you really know what you're doing or you really want to. Realistically, all you have to do is stick to that main page and maybe some stuff on the ideal page, which is pretty cool. As you can see on the screen right now, there's your main page for most of your amp settings. And if you want to dive into those deeper menus, you can, but it's totally not necessary. The models sound incredible as is. And this is the most powerful floorboard that Fractal's ever put out. With its 4 DSP processors, it is seriously a complete beast of a unit. And something really great is that it's not dummied down and it's not limited relative to the Axe FX3. Obviously, the Axe FX3 has a lot more capabilities, but you could pretty much do anything that the Axe FX3 could do with the FM9, with the exception of the amount of DSP. And I think you can't do the tone capture thing, which I'm not too familiar with, again, because this is my first Fractal product. But I haven't run into any DSP issues with this, and I've been running some pretty DSP heavy presets, and I haven't run into a problem. So you have plenty of power, plenty of oomph, and a lot of space to get your sounds dialed in. And speaking of those amp models, as it stands right now, you have over 280 amp models that range from the vintage classics to the modern boutique and super sought after rare coveted amps. So if you can't find your tone in this thing, then you've seriously got something wrong, because it absolutely has to be in there somewhere. And aside from the amps, it has over 2,200 cabinets that come with the unit. So these are actual impulse responses of real speaker cabinets that Fractal provides you free of charge, included with the unit. And you have so many options. You have different mic combinations and placements. They're all laid out really nicely and really easy to find. You also have room to add up to 1,000 of your own impulse responses. A little tip for you guys: if you do wind up with one of these FM9s or even with the FM3, you can go into the factory presets, which all sound phenomenal, and find a preset that's using your favorite amp. Find out what cab that they have paired it with at Fractal, and then you can just copy that cabinet over into your preset, and it makes life a lot easier. That's pretty much been my workflow when I'm trying a new amp. I'll check out the factory presets and see if they have any recommended cabinets, grab that, copy it over, and I'm off and running. On top of being one of the best amp modelers you could possibly get, it's also an incredible multi-effects. There is such a wide range of effects, ranging from all your favorite classic pedals and all the famous 80s studio rack mount gear, all the stuff that you always see in the rock documentaries or guys talk about in interviews. Pretty much anything you could think of is somewhere in this unit, and it's really been fun exploring the different effects and learning how they work. Next thing I want to talk about is the size and form factor. It has so much power per square inch and per pound that it's really easy to carry. It's super light. You can just literally throw it under your shoulder, or hopefully I get a bag for this of some sort, like a mailer bag, shoulder bag that you can just carry it under your guitar. It's super light, doesn't weigh a ton, it's easy to carry. Being so small, this is easy for me to travel with because I tour full time with Jessica Lynn, as I mentioned before. We do a ton of stuff in Europe and overseas, and I have to travel as minimal as possible. I used to be the big amp guy with the big pedal board and all that stuff, and since moving into one single floorboard that can cover all my needs, sound exactly the same every night, never have a problem at all because it's going to be so consistent no matter what power you're in and what country you're in. It's always going to be there. It's always going to sound dialed in, and you're never at the mercy of anything else other than what you've dialed in yourself. And again, traveling with it is seriously a lifesaver when you're touring. And the way it's laid out is really nice with the 9-foot switches. You have plenty of options. Among those 9-foot switches, you can use 8 scenes, and scenes are something that are awesome. It's basically your presets within your preset. So a scene can pretty much do whatever you want it to do within your given preset. It could turn pedals on and off. It could change parameters. It can do literally anything you want it to do within your given preset. And speaking of those foot switches, you can literally customize the entire format, or layout as it's called on the FM9. You can customize what you want at your feet in what place. Nothing is set or specified to a specific location. You can do whatever you want with the floorboard. You can completely wipe it clean in a per preset manner and literally put whatever you want, wherever you want it in your preset. You're not limited to anything, and you're not committed to have an effect block in this specific place. Again, you're unlimited on what you're seeing and what you can step on the floor unit itself. Let's talk about the ins and outs of the FM9, because this is something that's pretty cool. Fractal has their own little proprietary special sauce that they put on the guitar input. So that's going to keep your signal quiet. And I guess it's going to help you with the overall feel of, typically when you plug into modelers, people complain about the feel. And you're probably not going to have that experience with the Fractal because it really feels amazing. And whatever that special sauce is, it is really kind of special sauce. As weird as that is to keep saying. I'm going to stop saying special sauce. Okay, anyway. You also have 2 separate stereo pairs of balanced inputs for your 1/4 inches. You can use them as auxiliary ins. You can also use it for 2 guitars, which is something that I'm really excited about because I always use a unit that has capabilities of running 2 electric guitars. So when I tour with country artist Jessica Lynn, and I control all of her electric guitar tones, usually through my floorboard, through a completely separate signal chain. Our signals don't cross at all. We have completely independent things, and we have an input for her guitar, an input for my guitar. We also have 2 separate stereo XLR outputs, which is really nice to use. We don't have to rely on a DI box. We can just literally go XLR direct wherever we are, which is really nice. And another thing about the 1/4 inch outs is that they all use the Humbuster feature, which is really cool because if you've ever used a floorboard or a floor unit and you've gone 4 cable method into a tube amp, or you've run more than a few cables into it, you'll sometimes run into ground loop problems and you'll get this really bad buzz that you just can't get rid of. And that's not a problem with this because these outputs are designed with this special Humbuster technology. You also have a separate headphone jack that I use all the time. It's really helpful for making your presets without blowing anybody away. It also has SPDIF out, and it has a fast link out where you can control other Fractal Audio Systems floorboards like the FC6 or the FC12. Any of the foot controllers that Fractal sells, you can control through this output. And one of the most important things that I almost forgot is that it's a great USB interface. It's 8 in, 8 out USB interface. So you don't need an interface to use it. You could just plug your guitar in, USB straight to your computer, and you're on your way, ready to record. So let's talk a little bit about my personal preferences, what I love, and things that I wish that could be either changed or updated in the future. My favorite thing about the FM9 is that you can use the different channels within blocks. So you're not committed to just put an amplifier in this block and that's it. It's that one amplifier. You have 4 choices for that individual block. So if I put an amp block, I can have an amp on channel A, B, C, and D and have the entire spectrum of tones that I want with just those 4. That switching currently isn't seamless, so if you do change your channels, that is not a seamless switch at the moment, which is something that users could consider, but there's easy ways to work around that. And in each preset, you can have 2 of those amp blocks, which is, again, unreal. That's so awesome that you can have literally 8 amps at your disposal at all times. Another one of my favorite parts about the FM9 is the cabinet section. I really love the amount that you can dive into the cabinet section. I hate picking the IR, but once I have a good one, I love that you can add room and space and you can pick, you can dial in exactly how much room sound. And in my opinion, that's what makes it feel like you have the real amp in the room. So that section is really, really important. And I really think they have their cabinets dialed in. So I really, really am enjoying the cabinets here. That's my initial opinions of the FM9. I really think it could be the ultimate floorboard. It does so much in such a little compact package, and I'm really enjoying using it. Let me know what you guys want to see regarding the FM9 in future content. And if you made it this far, much appreciate it, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.